Also, has been reported that Lewis-Skelly is in, I'm not sure it's advanced talks, but there are discussions ongoing with him, as you would expect. And there were some pretty sensational claims that Real Madrid are apparently looking at him. I think we'd both be flabbergasted if that deal came off. It'd be a huge surprise if he did go, but is it maybe not so much of a surprise because he has just been that good for Arsenal over the past 6 months? So maybe is it not a massive surprise to learn that Real Madrid are apparently keeping an eye on him.
No, if you're a good young player, you're going to be wanted by the best clubs in Europe, aren't you? And Lewis Skelly has shown in the last 6 months he's one of the best young talents there is in world football right now. So no, it wouldn't surprise me if other clubs are looking at him, but it would absolutely surprise me if he ended up going anywhere. You know, he's Arsenal through and through. He's come through. He's just broken to the first team. He's playing week in, week out. He's got himself in England set up, England team, in fact, because of what Mikel Arteta has given him since with the trust that he's shown in him. I just can't see there's any way. I mean, you can never know in football, obviously, but that one, like you said, I think flabbergasted would be the absolute correct word. I just couldn't see any reason for him not renewing. You know, as I said, he's an Arsenal boy. He's come through at Hale End. He's in the team. He's playing. You know, this has been his dream since he first arrived at Hale End as a 7 year old. Why would you go anywhere, even for a club like Real Madrid at this stage in your career? It wouldn't make any sense to me. So I'm sure that deal will get done in the summer. You know, his contract will be renewed. Him and Ethan both have a year left, so it is pressing. You know, it's something Arsenal got to sort out. You don't want to lose your best young talents, but I'd be absolutely astounded if Myles Lewis-Skelly doesn't sign his new contract at some point before, maybe even before the start of pre-season, but certainly before the start of the season.
Yeah, me and you both. And like we were just saying, there are loads of players whose situations need to be sorted out. And you were just saying about Lewis Skelly and Waneri, these young players who think, geez, I don't have a year left. Is that right? And then
Yeah.
obviously the likes of Saka, Saliba, Martinelli got a couple more years. So putting you on the spot a little bit here, would you say that Ethan and Miles's contracts need to be a bigger priority? After Gabriel's, do they need to be the biggest priority than over the likes of Saka and Saliba's, perhaps?
I mean, timeline wise, you would say yes because they've only got a year left, so I think 12 months left than the rest of them. I think it is very, very important you get those ones done because of who they are. You know, they come through. They're the Hale End boys. They're the kind of you look at them as potential future of this team. So but I think they're all equally as important as each other because you don't want to let Saka and Saliba get down to that sort of final year because then you're just in a really difficult situation. The power's sort of gone from you. The power's with the player. The power's potentially with the clubs who are whispering in those players' ears. So I think all of them are equally as important, which is why I just think this summer, as much as so much focus is on the new signings, I really think the renewals are equal importance, if not more important than the new signings. You know, all of those players you listed need to get sorted ideally before the start of the season, which shows it's a massive job that Andre Bert's got in his hands this summer. It's a hugely important one. So no time to get your feet under the table really when it comes to Arsenal. He's walked in a huge summer for the club, but yeah, I mean Ethan and Miles I think Ethan might be slightly more difficult just because of his situation. You know, Miles is absolutely first choice left back now. He knows he's going to be playing next season. Ethan's slightly different because you've got the sort of where do you play Ethan? He's not grabbed his place in the team yet, which is fine because he's 18. You know, it's very rare that happens, but you do have in the positions he plays, you've got Bukayo Saka, you've got Martin Odegaard. So it's slightly more difficult, I would suppose, to lay out the pathway in terms of how many minutes you're going to get, how much football you're going to get with him than it would be with Miles. But I still expect both ultimately to get done.